right, folks, our next session is called 70 and 5 years old, how a corporate and a startup can benefit from one and another. I think the title says it all. We'll have on the one side Porsche here as a corporate, and on the other side a startup called High Mobility. So from Porsche we have Anja Händel on stage. She is the director for Porsche Digital Labs and High Mobility, which is a developer platform for connected cars. We have the CEO, Risto Vatra. So they will talk about their collaboration, including challenges that arise, as a showcase to discuss how a corporate and startup can work together. This is going to be a quite interactive session, so you can use Slido to ask questions already now. They will take plenty of your questions for later on. The session will be moderated by Anton Schilling, who is from the Pioneers Discover team. Pioneers Discover is on the edge between corporates and startups and connects them. And before we kick off the session, we'll start with a short video, so enjoy.
As Porsche, we want to create the future of the sports car. The Mission E is the best example of that. So we're looking into future technologies like e-performance, digitalization, and connected car applications. And of course, autonomous driving is also a relevant issue. That's the reason why we established Porsche Next OI as a new platform to get in touch with partners to shape the future of the sports car.
As we see it is that the car is really the next big thing that is becoming smart, because there are a lot of different companies, startups, new services that want to use car data to provide new services. And we are there in between, so we provide the tools to these type of companies who want to work with car data.
A very warm welcome to the Porsche Next OI competition finals today.
We just immediately saw the opportunities to make cars connected, make them focused on mobility services, and basically opening Porsche up into all these new areas that are coming with ride sharing and autonomous vehicles.
I was very excited when I saw the challenge and on how we could have the opportunity to change something with technology.
I think that innovation is way easier when you work together with people inside the company, but also like startups. So we really enjoyed working together with Porsche.
It's open innovation, and of course we had a few criteria like ease of use, like a potential value for our customers. We have a very broad sense and also a very mixed team approach that we use to figure out what is it that we will be doing in the future.
It was great to be here for Porsche's Next OI competition. Startups pushing as hard as they can on the app side, on open innovations, looking for incredible ideas, and the next push, I suppose, for Porsche to accept these new challenges.
And so we are just looking forward to go the next steps with Porsche and hopefully be part of the small tiny part of the digitalization that Porsche is going to do within the next 5 years, and I hope we can be a part of that.
Hello and welcome. Nice to have you here with us. The next 20 minutes will be spent on startup corporate collaboration. My name is Anton from Pioneers Discover. Together with Anja and Risto, we'll share our experiences on that topic. We have a company that is 70 years old and a company that is 5 years old. And this collaboration is quite a successful one, I have to say, and a very interesting one. So we will deep dive into their shared experience that they had in the last 2 years, I think, when you started working together. And especially since for Porsche, the topic of future mobility and the next couple of years will be quite intensive ones that even is more important also to see what you're doing in this field. 70 years of Porsche experience, so you have basically your birthday in June coming up. So why do you start working together with startups, actually?
I mean, the automotive industry will most probably change more in the next 5 years than in the last 50. So we have to be prepared and change the way we are working. I mean, even with Porsche is a big brand, We are quite a small automotive company, so we need to partner and collaborate with other companies and startups like Risto is doing with his team to take the right next steps in this journey to changing from automotive to mobility services.
We probably all know what Porsche is doing, maybe not so much about high mobility. Yeah. Risto, maybe you can give a short introduction to what high mobility is doing and why you collaborate with Porsche in this case.
Yeah, fine. So warm welcome to this afternoon session. High Mobility is a Berlin-based company. We are building a developer platform for connected cars, because already like 5 years ago we thought future cars would become programmable, but it's very difficult to work with cars. It's a very complex product, so we have been designing a way for not only a couple of developers in a sort of Bavarian region, but developers all around the world to work with cars. So, and we have done that now for 5 years, and in the last 2 years we have been much closer to almost all the car makers in Europe.
There are probably a lot of corporates in the audience sitting and a lot of startups. Maybe we can do a quick round. Corporates, hands up. Startups, hands up. The ones who could not decide, hands up. So how did you actually come up with the topic, and how do you start such a collaboration? How did you meet each other?
Actually, I'm not German, so I am Estonian. I moved from Sweden to Berlin in 2013, and everyone asked, why are you in Berlin when all the car industry in Germany is in the south? And we said, you know, since future of the car is all about user experience, about new services, new digital services and digital ecosystems, then Berlin was the most the biggest hotspot in Germany. And now actually, Anja can tell, Porsche and most other car makers, they have their digital hubs in Berlin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we met 2 years ago in Berlin, and we liked the idea already by these days, but we just started to work with startups, and we felt that it's too early for us, so it took us nearly 2 years till we were able to do a competition like we will talk about later on, because you need a certain stage as a corporate to really be able to deal with all the different requirements which a startup has to go on. So this it took us 2 years, but Risto was patient with us. So
we had a lot of meetings, but it was really it was quite clear that car makers like Porsche, they are aligning themselves internally. How could they actually, if something we could do a pilot, but then you know, Porsche, they are very perfectionist in a way, in a good way. So they want to make sure that if a pilot is successful, there is a sort of path to a bigger scale in the future.
How do you open up, Anja, to the rest of the startups? I mean, you already talked a bit about the challenge and the next Open Innovation Challenge. Is this one of the channels where you basically get applications and get to know startups?
This is one way, but for example, we have different platforms because startups are not all the same. So we have one platform which is called Startup Autobahn. This is even a platform we did the competition on together. So it's for much more mature startups like High Mobility, but we have also other platforms like, or accelerators like Apex in Berlin, which we do with Axel Springer, where we start to work with very early startups. So there are various entry points, and another one is at the moment the Next OI competition which we had. Yeah,
and just to give you some maybe background about this Porsche Next Open Innovation. So usually hackathons happen in a weekend in a physical location. But with High Mobility's platform, we are able to emulate cars virtually. So developers could be really in Hong Kong, in Japan, in New York, like some of these in the video. And they could work with the car independently over a longer period of time. So we designed an event where in 8 weeks' time, anywhere in the world you could join the platform. You can work with virtual cars, and then in the end present your work to Porsche, basically. And we had, like, normal hackathons have maybe a couple of hundred participants. We had globally more than 1,000 participants and 270 projects,
wow.
Which is like several times more, or in a several-fold more than Porsche internally could generate within a year, and we did it in eight weeks.
How do you evaluate the top ideas out of this whole big challenge?
We designed certain criteria, and to be fair, the reason why High Mobility is doing such things is also to learn what is the virtual or digital process in the future for any developer to build a service for car and get it approved by the car maker. So no one, if you are today iOS developer, you don't think about going to California to get your app into the App Store. But this is sort of the state in the car industry. You should go to Stuttgart or Munich or whoever, Wolfsburg for Volkswagen, and meet the people. But that's not really scalable. So today we saw 7 top teams in the video, or who were in this Berlin Grand Prix, the award ceremony. But our ambition is really that it's not 7 startups that could work with car maker like Porsche, but 7,000, and they could do it every week.
So everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. You get a lot of ideas. You get probably already first prototypes. How do you follow up with them? How do you get them to a pilot stage, to a first proof of concept, maybe to an MVP?
I mean, what we learned during this first run is now really that the stage with the winner teams are very different. So we have single developers, which was really impressive for us to see that what 2 people in Switzerland can do within 8 weeks. This was quite impressive, but we have to handle or decide on the next steps in another way with them than with the bigger companies or already startups which have an organization and more a team. So, and this is exactly what I mentioned before, that we needed to work with quite a lot of startups to be now in the stage that we can really handle these different requirements and these different needs, because what we need to build up now is take each and every idea and startup or team and bring them together with the right people from our side and make them create something which is really then fast in the car and will be shown to our customers. And this is what we have to work on now. So the competition is over, but the work for us really starts now to see how we bring this to the next levels.
If you would have the chance to start from scratch now, again, what were your learnings in the past? What would you do different, actually?
I mean, I think it's good that we started 2 years ago to work this, but and this is a good part. But probably we should have started earlier. Obviously, this is always what you can do. And we built up the competencies with us, within our organization, because you have to enable them. And the part which is for us now the most challenging is really to bring the people out of the operational level and release them to work with the startups and do all the new stuff, which is quite challenging for, I think, most of the automotive people, because the business is going quite well. So the people are really, really in their daily business. So we need to release them more to have time and enough time to work on the new topics with the startups, because I really believe in diverse teams, and our people have a lot of knowledge, which startups or developers not always have. So the beauty is to bring these 2 parts together and develop something which none of them would have developed by their own. So it's always about the mix and the team.
Yeah.
So,
cool. In the meantime, we could actually have a look at Slido if there are some open questions already in there. So let's see. What are the barriers in a mutual cooperation between startup and corporation? Who wants to go for this one?
The barriers. I think startups should have quite a lot of patience. We always felt the risk sometimes when you meet wrong people from the corporation. Then you feel like, are they really on your side, or are they fishing for some ideas? So I think in our early days, at least, we had quite a lot of trust issues, sort of. But if you find a really good contact and a great team to work with in the corporation, I think there is just it's sort of backwind for you. They will become your champions, and you are also making their case better because corporations are full of amazing people who want to do things, but they have certain frameworks where they need to be. So startups need to understand maybe that everything can't happen, that tomorrow we are signing a contract and the next day we are always finishing the project and so on.
From a corporate perspective?
Yeah, I think we have to enable the right people to work with the startup. That's the one point I already mentioned. And obviously, our processes are quite slow, like in the procurement area, or to pay the invoices in time. I mean, this is not where corporates are known for their fast reaction. So we also have to work on our processes, because otherwise startups will not survive because they have to wait for the money and things like this, which is not because we do not want to do it, it's just because we are too slow. So we really have to learn a lot to be much faster and much more reactive in terms of an organization, not of only individuals.
There are a lot of corporates also in the room. How do you convince management to go for startup corporate collaboration? How did you start with this? Or is this a top-down approach that comes, that is necessary?
So and so. I mean, it's important to have this top management attention and really also their buy-in, that they say, okay, we want to go this way, and luckily we have this. But this is only one stake. I mean, I already talked about it. You have to enable the organization, and this is really releasing people from their daily work, which in the end is maybe some extra work for the team left in the organization, or the or the daily work. So you have to find the right level in this area too.
Next question is.
Next question is a short answer, please. That could be a long one. How do you see the future of automotive industry?
Well, I see it's very exciting, because the car is really changing. It's becoming more open. It's becoming probably programmable. So today we have cars that are polluting in cities. They are creating traffic jams. But I believe in a couple of years we have cars that actually clean cities' air, because they have different suppliers or different types of tasks, and you could reprogram them depending on the need. So for me, it's very much the future of automotive is in software. In shortly.
We could combine two questions. One is the way of collaborating, and also if you fund these startups. And there is a second question, do you have a VC arm as well? So what's the type of collaboration that you aim for with startups? Yeah.
I mean, we work with several venture funds together, and we also do some venturing. We just did the one big one, Anagog, some weeks ago. So there are ways for this, but I mean, this is really required from what a startup needs. Some of them need venturing, some of them need more reliability in projects you have to be done. It's really very different from startup to startup. That's what we also learned during the last 2 years, that it's not this one process or way. You have to treat all of all startups.
If I would add to this, is that also it really depends on the startup. For a platform like High Mobility, we can't take money from one single car maker, because we would alienate the other car makers, or in a way. So the perfect setup for us would be either completely strategic investor from a different industry, or a consortium, so we could bring several car makers to the right table.
How do you set up the topics for your innovation agenda? Is this something that comes from your organization? Is this something that you set up as the Porsche Digital Lab and say, okay, these are the 5 topics that we want to collaborate with startups? How does it work?
It comes in both ways. I mean, we have our agenda and we know the topics which we are interested in, and therefore we are scouting. But on the other side, we also are on places like here at Pioneers, and meet people, have some matchmaking, and get inspired by ideas of startups or individual persons and developers who have other ideas or thoughts about. I mean, it's really also getting inspired. It's not that we just talk to people we pick, but we are also looking forward to get inspiration or ideas, or That's why we are running around here with our shirts. Talk to us, contact us. We are really open and happy to learn more about your ideas and your thoughts, what we could do together.
And how do you select the top startups? What is like the criteria you're looking for? Are you looking into the team, or is it the idea? Is it the technology behind?
In the end, the solution should make sense, and also the stage in which the solution is. We have to find the right way to put it in our organization. So if you just have a business idea, you can go to our accelerator Apex, for example, because they work mainly on the idea evaluation and do some funding too. But it's mainly driven by our organization. So to find the right people in the organization that believe in the idea and work together, as I mentioned before, with the startup on the right solution. And they do basically the evaluating. There's not one person. If you talk to Anja and she likes it, it will go. No, it's really that the whole organization is working with startups on their ideas and to bring them forward.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in every corporate, there's also brilliant minds that can start own ideas and then can also innovate themselves. Mm-hmm. How do you evaluate topics that can be done internally, where you have also a lot of designers and developers that can do this stuff on their own? Or when do you decide to do it with startups externally?
It helps us most of the time to collaborate with with a startup or another partner, because we are, as I mentioned also before, quite a small automotive company. We are not so big than our brand seems to be. So it's really that we need partners. I mean, we are small, and we need other small startups to find our way. I'm not aware about too many ideas which we do totally by our own without any collaboration.
Mm-hmm. There is one topic to the value proposition of Porsche. Do you offer free Porsche cars to startups?
Not yet. I can have to talk with our marketing people.
Okay, so Risto, you don't have a Porsche?
Yes, unfortunately, no.
But also no parking slot. No, yeah. In Berlin, it's hard.
Also, a really nice question. When do you think the last driver will be on the street steering himself?
I mean, there will be racing tracks, hopefully everywhere, where you can have the real Porsche experience. So that's obvious, and I think this will be hopefully there for a very long time.
And on public roads?
I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think what Porsche is about is the driving fun, and why would you want to replace fun? So you can buy some other type of car if you want to just be commuting.
On public streets, it will be also very much dependent on the government side. Mm-hmm. So it will differ from country to country. So it's hard to make a judgment. I mean, one is the technical view, and the other one is what will be allowed and how.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, the chance to the audience also to have some questions.
Hi, I wanted to ask you, as a B2B startup, how can you make sure to get taken seriously when talking to like managing directors and so on? Especially if you go, I mean, I had the experience in the automotive industry that it's very open, but there are other industries like the steel industry or the mining industry which are maybe more conservative.
I think it always takes time. It's always the relationship building thing. So if you say you deliver something and you deliver, you build a little step forward in working together. And well, we have done, of course, mistakes in our early days, but you should be learning quickly, and usually you are excused if you understand you made a mistake or didn't do it in a certain way. So that's basically, you need to have a patience, you need to understand the other side of the table, that they are not super flexible often, so you need to understand these constraints and play smartly in a way.
Okay, time's up. Thanks a lot. Thanks also to the audience for your questions and your contribution. We are still in the house, so if you have any questions, feel free to approach us anytime in the next couple of hours. It was a pleasure to talk to you and discuss with you. Thanks to Anja, thanks to Risto.
Yeah.
Wish you a nice Pioneers 18.
Perfect, thank you.